Hello, everyone. It is time again for our Tuesday Talks. And this week, we are going to be talking about the top tips for staying inspired and creative. Now, staying inspired and creative is a huge part of a successful business in photography. The trick is how to stay inspired and creative when you're not feeling like it's easy. And like most things in life, it's easier to know what to do and think about how to do it when you already are feeling this way than when you're not, if that makes sense. So, what I'm trying to say here is when you are looking at, if you're feeling inspired, it's easy to be inspired. When you're feeling tired and burned out, it's hard to get inspired and creative. But knowing these tools and having these tips in your back pocket to pull them out when you need them is the key. So here's the thing. When it comes to this and you wonder, why does it matter that much? What if I've got my business in check? It still matters because when you're excited, it keeps your work fresh. It keeps your clients excited. It keeps your passion alive. And when your inspiration runs low, that's when you get burnout. That's when you're quickly to be sharper and quicker with your clients, have less patience, and it can make your business feel like a chore. So, in today's talk, we're going to be talking about my favorite tips to stay inspired and creative, and not just in your photography, but in your overall business in general. And you can probably apply these a lot to life as well, especially if you're a creative person. And if you're running a photography business, you're most likely a creative person at some level. So, this isn't just about artistic growth. This is about maintaining confidence. And when you're inspired and creative, your confidence is going to shine through. And when your confidence is shining through, it increases your joy. Your clients see that. It can actually lead to boosting your revenue. Yes, staying creative can directly be linked to more revenue, which means more money, which means more clients, and more clients that you want in your life. So, I am Andreka from Andreka Photography and Coaching, here to talk about photography business and aspects that we might forget about when we start to get into our routine of shooting photos, delivering photos, editing photos, talking to clients. What we really need in the business level to keep it going and maintaining a strong business that's going to keep growing and support what you want your life to look like for as long as you want it to look, right? So let's jump into it. Let's talk about why it's really important to talk about the idea of creativity and inspiration. Yes, of course, there's that whole idea of it brings you joy and happiness. Sure, we know this. But to be honest, like I mentioned earlier, when you're down and exhausted and tired and burned out and you've been working really hard, thinking about being creative and inspired doesn't really do it. But what is that piece that's going to get you there? Right? So that's what we're going to talk about here because photography is a creative industry and inspiration fuels that creativity. And without the inspiration, your work can become repetitive, your enthusiasm may fade, and all of this can lead to unhappy clients. Whether it's how you communicate with them, whether it's what you're delivering to them, whether it's they can pick up on that. People can pick up on these things. So this not only affects your confidence, but it also affects your ability to then attract new clients and grow your business. So when you're staying inspired, it helps you stand out in the market. It makes you push your boundaries of art. It makes you deliver a more unique experience to each client, which also isn't just about the art, but about the business aspect. And it keeps your passion alive. Now, I'm always hesitant to use the word passion because it has such a heavy connotation. Like, this is my passion. Yes, it also is just that little spark, right? It's that thing inside, that little flame that keeps you going. It doesn't have to be this big, huge, gigantic. Just that little bit can go a long way. And of course, when you're creative and you're inspired, it helps prevent the burnout and will ultimately lead to more joy and more profits in your business. And if you are inspired, the artistic aspect of your business, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to be inspired and excited about the actual business part, which is the real, as we talk about every week, secret to the success when it comes to mastering your business and your photography world and your life. So, even if you're inspiring by your creative mind, at the same time, you're building more capacity to take on that business stuff. And some people are reverse. Some people really love the business aspect. So if you're creative in your business aspect and inspired in the business aspect, it's going to leak over into your capacity to take on more of the artistic side. Together, it works. It works. So let's talk about my favorite and fun, of course, tips for staying creative, especially when you are starting to hit that plateau. Knowing these now and thinking about these before you get to the point of exhaustion, because again, it's going to happen. You're going to get short. I'll be honest, right now, I have been working really hard for a couple of months and I feel my patience swaying. So it's kind of funny that this topic, because I plan out my topics kind of a little bit in advance, is coming up today because today is that day I'm like, golly, I am feeling a little short-tempered. Not tempered. That said, I'm going to go for a bike ride this afternoon. I'm going to use some of my tips to stay there. So here we go. 1, give yourself a creative challenge, right? So set weekly or monthly photography challenges, and they don't have to be big, and they can be as simple as I'm going to go photograph with one lens, or I'm going to do everything in black and white, or I'm going to see how many different photos I can take at 1 minute at golden hour. I posted on my Instagram. There's a lot of different ways you can come up with creative challenges that just get your mind working in a different way, as opposed to if you're doing weddings and portraits and you're using your same lenses in the same way, in the same places, day after day, week after week, it can become mundane. And that's where the idea of losing your inspiration and your creativity goes away. So use your everyday stuff. Give yourself a little restraint. Like I said, one lens or a certain short amount of time or just black and white, and just see what happens. It's kind of fun. Also, you can always join online photography challenge groups. Those are over super fun. And that will give you a little bit more structure and potentially accountability if you want it. All right, my next tip. Teach or mentor aspiring photographers. I literally do this weekly. And, straight up, I'll be straight honest. There are days that I am tired, you probably tell, but I still show up and do it. And when I'm done doing these little talks, I feel great because I'm not only learning from all of you and I'm learning from the talk, I'm learning as I'm researching and doing this. It solidifies and makes my brain, again, think in a different direction than just camera, edit, email, camera, edit, email. You can offer to do workshops or one-on-one sessions. I'm not out there selling you things here. I have the things and I've done those things, but this is just a lot for me and for you and to give back. So it's not something that you're necessarily always doing for money, because sometimes when you attach the financial aspect to everything you do, it becomes more of a chore and a job as opposed to just something fun to try and new, and you're doing it for yourself. So another way to do this is you can share your information through social media and blog posts, and it's also just engaging with others' curiosity. Right? It'll reignite that passion and creativity in front of you. If you're talking to someone who's new, or just in general peers on the street corner, right? It kind of ignites what you thought about or makes you think of things a little bit differently. My next tip, look and study into non-photography art forms. So this is always super fun for me, is you go to an art gallery or museum or a live performance and you experience these different forms of creative expression. And then you can take those elements and look at them from a photographer standpoint. So maybe you're taking the elements like color and composition, emotion from these different art forms and taking it and applying it to your own photography, right? Like, how do you take a stage presence and a set stage and turn it into photography, right? How does this type of thing inspire me with my photos? How do I get that close-up look or the collage of colors and use that? Like, I see this thing that I just showed you and I think, oh, I think like a garden of flowers. How do I take a macro photo of a bunch of flowers that are planted and maybe do something different to make it echo that? Again, making your brain work in a different way than what it's been doing for months, weeks, years. So regular immersing yourself into this different type of painting or music or film gives you a new perspective. Next, get outside your comfort zone. Take on a project that scares you or seems way beyond your current skills. This doesn't have to be an immediate thing that you're going to solve right away, but get outside your comfort zone. Push yourself to shoot in conditions or environments you typically avoid. I'll be honest, for me, I avoid strobes and on off-camera lighting. So you know what I did this year? I went and played with it. And I was at a wedding and I've been playing with it. Again, there's no pressure attached to it, but it's getting outside my comfort zone. And then once it will be part of my comfort zone, it could be something new and exciting for me to apply to my photography when I just want to try new things. This discomfort will kind of help you grow and see things from a new angle. And also, another way you can do this type of getting outside your comfort zone is to explore different types of genre of photography. If you've always been portrait and people and weddings, try landscape or floral or sports or abstract. Black and white film. That for me is something I try to do in the winter a lot, is I push into black and white film and play with that a little bit more. All right, next one, attend photography workshops and conferences. This kind of comes back to like being around other photographers who are going through the same type of thing you are. And we've talked about this a few times, how great it is and how it could really inspire you because you hear how other people are doing it, but you're also hearing how other people are also potentially hitting a plateau. So research upcoming events that interest you, either online or in person. I personally love the in-person stuff more than online. And try to attend one. Take notes, apply the new techniques as you can. Don't push yourself too hard, but get inspired. Every time I go to these conferences, I get super duper inspired about trying new things. And that's kind of a key to longevity in your business. Even though you think you've got it dialed in, throwing in little new things every year really helps you and pushes you towards a new direction. They don't all have to be quote unquote successes that stay in your business forever. I've been in business now for almost 20 years and I've tried so many different things. I've had a photo booth business, I've done associates, I've done interns, I've had so many different varieties of what I've offered. Some stay, some don't, some leave and then come back. I have a couple ideas I'm trying for the new year. This is what you can try in your off season. Now, let's talk about all these things I've mentioned so far. You're probably going, yeah, but how am I supposed to do all this today? Like I'm in the middle of 10 weddings that I need to edit and 10 weddings that I have coming up. How am I supposed to attend a conference? Right? So the next few things are going to be about what you can literally do and put into your practice today. One, take breaks. Take breaks when needed. Schedule intentional breaks during your busy seasons to avoid this burnout. Step away from your computer completely to reset, right? Do something relaxing. Go hiking, go reading. Take a break, right? It's okay to walk away. Nothing's going to change in a matter of 10 minutes. And that 10 minutes is really what you need. Go outside, put your feet in the ground, take a deep breath, look up in the sky. Maybe that's the point. You take a break, you grab your camera, you take one photo you don't know. Or if you're like, I don't want to touch my camera, go outside and just imagine, look at the colors of the trees, right? Immerse yourself in nature. Spend time outdoors regularly to reconnect to the world beyond your lens, beyond your computer, because we all know it's so much more in front of your computer than anywhere else, right? So step away, get outside, get into nature. And you can use this natural light and the organic elements as a source of actually inspiration for your work. So when you go through walks in natural settings, I love being on Mackinac Island because there's so many trails here. I can look, literally, I love to look at a green tree and it's not green. This is where, again, coming back and looking at other forms of art. If you look at a painting of a tree, it's not one solid green. There's so many different shades of green within that painting. So then go back when you're in your nature and look at a green tree and see all the different shades of green in that tree. And then, as far as the photography inspiration goes, look at how the light is dancing on the trees and dancing on the leaves and how those leaves are changing color with the light. This alone will inspire you then to, when you're out taking your photos, you've been doing this regularly, you're going to be able to find light in a different way when you're photographing your subjects. So it can be a really cool habit just by taking that 5-minute break, walking outside, looking at a tree, looking at the light, and then you do that every day, you're going to see a huge change in how you see light in your photos. And then the final thing I want to talk about is constantly set new goals, right? So we talk a lot about goal setting, and you want to create short-term and long-term goals, creatively, business-wise, mastering a new technique, reaching a new market. And then you review and adjust these goals periodically to ensure that you're challenged and motivated, or if they work or they don't work. You don't have to stick with the goal forever. But when you have something down the road that you're looking forward to and that you're trying and you're learning is so key. Being creative, being curious is key to all of this stuff. So when you're trying something new and you're setting these new goals, it keeps you moving forward. It keeps you inspired and creative because it stops you from your mind becoming too mundane. You have to, when you set new goals, you are going to always be pushing your brain to think in a newer but different direction. It's impossible to stay on your plateau, mundane, doing the same thing over and over and over again if you have new goals. So when you have these new goals, it will naturally push you forward and keep you growing. So those are my favorite tips. I wanted to stay away from some of the like typical creativity, inspiration stuff. So I wanted to push into some things that I find are very interesting and new and you maybe wouldn't have thought of and more actionable that you can actually start today. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.